Hey, welcome back to No Hype Beer Reviews. Unless it's your first time, then welcome. Please consider subscribing. If you do, hit the notification bell, get you updates. That's it for today's video. It's a relatively local beer, which is always cool. It's courtesy of Woodland. Thanks so much, guys. Really appreciate it. And so they were nice enough to send out 6 beers, and this is the last one. And it's also batch 6. 6 is... oh, I got nothing. Apple Brandy batch 6. Batch 6. There's some karma for being an idiot about the number 6. Scottish Wee Heavy, our anniversary beer aged for a year in apple brandy barrels. Sign me up all day for that. 12% ABV. I think this is what it says on the side every time. So make sure I'm not forgetting anything. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to get there one of these weekends. Worst case, July. So I'll be posting this in May. And worst case, couple months, and I want to head out to the brewery, so I'm really excited to check them out in person. So it's pouring like a cola color, which makes sense because I was kind of anticipating, well, I guess it's fine, kind of like a brownish color. And, you know, once it's in the glass, so I mean, that's pretty darn dark. I mean, it is dark brown. But man, yeah, I think I get apples already. Yeah, it's very dark, you know, where it's a little thinner down here. I get a little bit of red. But yeah, it's basically just dark brown. Not much of a head. Kick anything up. So what is there is a very light mocha color. Let's see. Some legs for sure. Lacing, it's like these like spots that are sticking around. It's going to say aroma proper. It's interesting how the apple comes through, because you get like caramel and toffee notes. So I would think it'd be more like a caramel covered apple, you know, but it's not quite that. It's definitely leaning, and this is a good thing in my opinion, it's definitely leaning the base beer. Like you do get some of that apple brandy thing, but it's definitely... I'm getting a lot more, at least in the aroma, a lot more of maybe even toffee more than caramel, but it's like that burnt sugar, brown sugar thing. I get some nice vanilla, which I think is probably the barrel actually. But yeah, there's this, I'm trying to place the apple specifically. My dad, when he was young, he worked in an apple orchard. So anytime we went apple picking, he was always like, you know, like the encyclopedia of apples. Like he would just, you know, this apple, you know, here's the history of it. Here's where, you know, originated. Here's flavor profile, that kind of stuff. And I was really excited when I was in Australia. We didn't know we were going there. We went to the birthplace of the Granny Smith apple. And that's kind of what this smells like. We're on this tour bus and like, hey, there's this apple, this older lady is credited for. I'm like, Granny Smith apple? Like I didn't know it was Australian. Anyway, what a bunch of stuff you didn't come to this for. Let's get to the taste. Cheers. Thanks again, Woodland. That's nice. That's really good. So, way more going on in the taste. So, man, there's that apple too. And it's interesting. It works well. Because, I'm sorry, here's what's interesting. You're like, well, what's interesting about the fact that the apple works well? So far, you've only really talked about caramel and toffee and like sweet things that do pair well with apple. There's like whisper of smoke. And that's what's kind of cool and interesting, how well it works with the apple note. Which I think is true to stout, right? Doesn't it? I think a Wee Heavy can have a little bit of like this smoky thing. But yeah, it's like sometimes on campfires we would, you know, cook, you know, cut an apple, you know, core it, cut it, and then cook it, you know, and you get maybe a little bit of smoke with the caramelization of the sugar from the heat of the fire. So like it kind of, it's not like it straight up tastes like that, but kind of like reminiscent of that at times. You do get the kind of like in the aroma more toffee than caramel note, which I don't think about how those are different very often, but this is kind of making me contemplate, yeah, toffee and caramel definitely not the same thing. and this is more toffee than caramel. And yeah, there's like this, the brandy barrel, besides like some spirit, some of that apple, I am just like the aroma again. It's like vanilla. It's almost, it's making me think white wine also, which is kind of cool. It's so interesting too, because this, man, I haven't had a wee heavy in a while. It's not molasses. It's so interesting, like doing, trying to do different styles sometimes from what I just do over and over and over again, it seems like. And how I get molasses in other beers, it's not exactly like that, so I'm hesitant to say I get like this molasses thing, but it is the closest thing I can think of. There's like this molasses note. And whatever that, I'm thinking the hop or hops that are in this, I get like a little bit of pine needle. I'm thinking maybe a little bit of orange peel. Stick with the pineapple. Or pineapple, oh my God. Stick with the pine needles. There's no pineapple in this beer. Pine needles. Yeah. The alcohol too, I don't taste it, but just when I was going to take that sip, I'm like, man, I really like this flavor profile. It's still lingering on my palate. And there's a little bit of like, to use that word whisper again, this whisper of alcohol. It's a cool beer too, because there are flavors that are sweet, in like the caramel, for example. Caramel is very sweet, obviously, but there's also a taste to caramel besides sugar. Like this, like it's not just sweet. Period. It has the caramelization taste, and that's kind of how this is at times, where it's like, oh, that's caramel, but it's not as sweet as caramel. So that's kind of cool too. I really like this beer. I meant to cap it because I'm going to be sipping this slowly for the rest of the day. And I'm getting kind of a late start. It's already 6 p.m. Yeah, I only poured by about half, so it's all good. All right. Anyway, yeah, this is delicious. I think it's pretty obvious how much I like this beer. There's this other thing. It's not peaty. It's not that smoky. It's not peat. Again, it's just, it's like char. It's like a little bit of char, maybe. That might be what it is. Yeah, that charred wood. Yeah, it's really good. A lot going on, like I said. I like the aroma of it, but then when I taste it, I'm just like, oh, this has like the aroma stuff and all these other things. So I hope I articulated it well, because this was really good and deserves it. Have you had this beer before? Have you had a wee heavy lately? How about this? Have you had a Scottish wee heavy aged in apple brandy barrels in a while? If you have anything to say, comment section below. Let's get a conversation going. Once you're done doing that, make sure you check me out on Instagram and Untapped. It's No Hype Beer Reviews at both those places. So please like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, imbibe. Cheers, everyone.